Good evening, Cheeks Kingdom. Hope you're doing well. My name's Ryan, and we're going to get into it tonight. Friends and neighbors, it's been a long day. I have done most of the rewatch, so we can get into that a little bit. I'm sure tons of questions coming. I see there's a ton of you in here already. All the regulars, I appreciate that, and a good number of questions so far. I'm not going to be able to go back to the beginning of the conversation, but we'll start from here forward. And I do see that there's some questions. I don't have a whole lot of preamble tonight other than to say I got the graphics pretty much done on all the custom emojis and icons for the base level of the memberships. Memberships are coming. Really getting close now. We just have to figure out how we're going to space out the bonus features. We're going to have custom icons that show you in the chat like you're in right now, that you're one of the members, that you're one of the insiders here. And then the other perk that you get at the very entry level is being able to use some custom emojis and stuff that I've built that you can really just throw in any chat, any comment even. It's specific to the YouTube platform, and it really lets you customize your experience and how you communicate with the rest of the fan base. And then escalating tiers from that will be some members only videos and live streams, and then some behind the scenes. You'll get discounts on the merchandise, and some of the new designs that I have will be released to members first. And then we get into the hangouts. Dan and I will have off-platform hangouts where you can be in the video conference with us as one of the members. And so there's a lot of cool stuff coming. Eventually, we'll even get to one of the price tiers towards the top will be a one-on-one. And it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it, but there's a lot of work that's gone into it to this point, so we're getting close there. For those of you that want to support the channel, please do. I really appreciate it. I want to show you guys. This is September's contributors, super supporters, I called them. I'm not sure if that's going to stick or not. I'm going to keep playing with that. But a number of you that have supported the channel, and I really appreciate it. We're picking up a lot of speed as the Chiefs go through this run it back season. And I know that drives a lot of folks, and I'm glad for that. So if you want to support us tonight, feel free. Please do. The super chats and the super stickers are open. Just put something out there. Make sure you ask a question. I'll get you something for it right now tonight. But we appreciate all the support. It's been great lately. And what we're going to do, looks like Adam's back. That's awesome. That said, that's starting now. The memberships are starting hopefully in the next couple of weeks. It's getting really close. And that's going to allow us to do more of these things. I also want to know in the comments how you guys like everything that we've been doing lately with Danilo, with Dan, with adding more videos per week. Some of the smaller ones, we're trying to give you little bits throughout the week that actually hit home a little bit more. So that's our goal. Gonna start here from the first question from when I came in was King Boss. Should they go get Evan Ingram? The trade deadline is in a week from Tuesday. So I can see how these questions are starting to come around, and that makes a lot of sense. I'm not so sure that Ingram's going to be let go, to tell you the truth, for a price that the Chiefs want to pay. The Chiefs don't want to pay a first or second round draft choice, period. Fourth or lower, they might consider, and I don't even know if that. What I said about Njoku last week was that a fourth round is the top that I would go. I don't know if Brett Veach would even agree with me. I have a tendency to think that if he really likes someone or really feels that they're a reclamation project, he would, but I don't know who that is. He might not see things the same way I do. So Ingram definitely has the athleticism that I think could be an asset, and backing Travis up in those situations is going to be key. Zane, your thoughts on Bell's performance and what his potential is? I think it's great. And I think that giving him what was 40% of the carries, is 6 to 8 Bell to Clyde. And I think that's good. I think Clyde, like I said a couple weeks ago, Clyde will be the primary ball carrier. And that's the way it should be. He has the young legs. He is the investment. But I think Bell gives him a really nice refresher. And you saw Bell take some of the longer runs. Some of the ones that his bigger body type and his longer length actually helped him complete. And I think that's a good role for him. So he doesn't have to be the primary, but he can get things done with his fresh legs as well. I really like the potential of it. And I think they're building up. I think they're going to let him run a lot against the Jets, his old team. And I don't think that that's a problem. I think it'll be fun to watch, and I think it'll be good for him to get going because they have a bye after that. Well, he has time to rest, and then they can really pick it up post-bye. I think that's going to be great. Let's see. Chris, how are you? Yes, my friend. Yes. I've been saying that for quite a while, and yes. And Mr. Adam, 2 days in a row, very much appreciated. Thank you very much. I hope you're doing well up there. I think I got some of your air last night because my temperature went down to minus 14 C, which is 7 degrees here in Colorado. So, and your question, are we worried about Frank? He's only projected for 6.96 this year. Not much production for 20 million. That's a fair point. He has not gotten off to the picking up the finish that he ended with last year. I would have liked to have seen more from him so far. But I will say this. I do see the chips coming his way. I do see him getting a little more attention. But when he does get one-on-ones, I want to see him do more. And I'm sure he feels the same way. I don't know if he's 100%. I don't think he'd ever tell you if he wasn't, but I do think that there is maybe something bothering him a little bit. He doesn't look quite as explosive, and his engagement with his hands doesn't look to me like he's getting the full extension that he's gotten in the past. So there might be some shoulder stuff that's bothering him, something in his arms. We'll have to see how it goes along. But, at the end of the day, he gets paid not only to produce, but to drive everyone else. And the front four, I think, has been playing better. And so I'm not going to worry about it yet, but it's certainly on the horizon. Thank you again, Adam. I appreciate everything you've done. We've been on fire lately, and it's a lot because of you. Thank you. Let's see. Dave, are you excited as I am about the package of CEH and Bell in the same time when they both split out wide? Yeah, and we'll be reviewing that play. I think Dan's going to pull it. If not, I will. And we want to look specifically at that because it's such a matchup problem. Whether you line them up in the backfield and then split them out, or if you split them out and hopefully get a nickel or a dime set and then bring them in and run against it. Either way, it's matchup nightmares. And I think that's exactly what you want to do with them. Chris, did you see Metcalf hawk down Buda Baker on Sunday Night Football? Yes, he is. And that really shows you exactly what he's capable of. In a straight line, he's incredible, especially at that size. Buda's no slouch in the speed department. So, that was a really, really good play. Maybe I should do a video on it too. His route tree still hasn't expanded that much, but it's bigger than it was in college. So good for him. I didn't like him for the Chiefs because he doesn't do a lot of the change of direction stuff. I don't know that he would fit this offense very well, but what he's doing in Seattle, stretching the field, using that straight line speed and trying to adapt and get a little bit more where he can make some cuts. I think that's perfect for what they're doing and to give Russ a big target. I love it. So more power to him. Will Drew Lock be backing up Mahomes in a couple of years? You never know. I wouldn't mind seeing it, but I think, honestly, I'm not going to write him off. I think he's got plenty of upside. I'm not concerned about Drew Lock at this point. I think he's well on his way to being successful. And so they just got to get the support around him. Quite frankly, a line that can block for him better. And I think he's going to grow into it. Flam Yo Diddle. I like that one. I like to see Willie getting more snaps. I think the linebackers are a few places that can really improve on the roster in the next few years. I agree with you. I think Willie will be something that they build around. And I think you're starting to see what we talked about in the offseason, the coverage stuff. And I think someone mentioned earlier in the chat that I can't scroll back and find where I'll lose it. And Adam contributed early, and Aaron's here to help me because he knows if I get too far behind, I won't see the super chats, and I don't want to miss those. If you guys want to help me out, I want to make sure I help you out. So I think Isaiah Simmons has had a slower start. I think Willie's been a little bit more steady contribution. Obviously, Simmons had a big play last night, and I think that's coming for Willie too. I think Willie's showing you that he's comfortable instinctually, and the less he has to think, the more it slows down for him, the more impact he's going to have. And I think I told you back when he was drafted, the second half of the years where you're going to see him shine. We're almost there. Mr. Tactics, how are you? Oh, by the way, cheers to all of you guys. This is a double IPA that I made with some Brew One hops. It's pretty tasty. Here's to you. Let's see, Tactics. There's something I think no one is mentioning. Tyreek has seemed to have taken a step back, and Kelsey has stepped up his run blocking. I'm with you on Kelsey. He definitely has been more focused on it. I think he's delivering better blocks in a more timely fashion. But I don't think Tyreek's taken a step back at all. I think he's gotten more and more dedicated coverage to take him away. And I think when he is getting targets, chances, opportunities. I think he is doing something with them. It's just that they're coming in a shorter range. He's not getting as loose as often. So the run game is going to help that. It's going to pull the defense up. And when they do that, I think he's going to have some spectacular plays yet to come, because I'm guessing he's itching for it pretty bad. Steve, did our offensive tackles struggle yesterday? Somewhat. And it wasn't necessarily the tackles, it was the communication, like all the free pass rushes you saw from Chubb. That was a decision made in the shift or not the shift, how to attack what they were doing. And they chose to leave Chubb unblocked. Those were, I think, mistakes in the read and the adjustment, not in the blocking itself, like from Fisher. I think Remmer's got a little bit overpowered at times. I haven't seen the All-22 yet. It came out this afternoon, which is actually nice because usually it doesn't hit until Monday night or even Tuesday morning. So Dan's already starting to look at it, and I'll be looking at it tonight. Time frame, you think Willie will look like DJ? That's a tall order. It took DJ 3 years and a benching to get to his point. So I'm not going to read that in yet. I'm going to say 2022, but I think in the meantime, you're going to see a couple more splash plays from him than you saw from DJ in years 1 and 2 and early on. That's my thought. Tactics. One year I fear is that Mahomes and Andy will have learned nothing about dealing with the Seahawks cover 3, and they lost in 2018 to the Chargers and the Seahawks. Yeah, I mean, that's fair. I can understand where you're coming from. They have to continue to improve themselves. But I do feel like if they can hit the underneaths, they can take advantage of where the cover 3 soft. So let them keep trying. Chris Smith, how are you? How long do you think Spags will be our DC? He deserves another head coaching shot. And will he be here long term? I think he will get another head coaching shot, and I think it'll be in a few years. I don't think it's going to be right now. He has to get them to the point where they're a top 10 unit, maybe 2 or 3 years running, and then I think he'll get a shot. That's my personal thought. Tactics. Just rewatched D Ford's AFC Championship offside. He was blocked by a running back on that play. Good and written. Okay, fair enough. I won't argue with that at all. Mr. Big Test, thank you for your super chat. I appreciate it. Can you see the Chiefs making a trade before the deadline? If so, who would you think they'll go after? Well, Everson Griffin is supposedly on the block now. That's a defensive end that you might have interest in if you're worried about the guys that are on IR. Now, Taco came up with an injury after the game, so I don't think that's particularly tough. He should be back, I want to say, in a week or two, definitely after the bye. Alex Okafor's out for a while. I don't know the extent, and they're being kind of cagey about it. Mike Dana's out for a while. Don't know the extent of that either. So it's K-Pass and whatever you can do to make up behind K-Pass. Damone Harris played yesterday. He didn't set the edge well. He looked really rusty. He hasn't had many opportunities this year, so I can't really blame Harris. But they need something else back there, or they need to get their guys back. So keep an eye on that. A stray tight end, like the question about Evan Ingram or even David Njoku, if there is truth to that rumor, whether he told Mary Kay Cabot or not, that'd be somebody to look at. And I think they'll just go from there. I think it's more about the quality of the player rather than the position of the player. I think Veach in particular has guys that he doesn't necessarily covet, but he had a good grade on before. And I think that's going to be kind of key. So DeClyde's missed pass looked like he was ready due to it being a scramble situation. David, yeah, I think you might be right. I have to go back and look at it on All-22 to be sure, but that was kind of my impression from the broadcast as well. Dog, how are you? I hope you and the family are in no danger. We are not. We are absolutely fine. It got down to -7 last night, -8. And that did slow down the fires some, but the fires are quite a bit away from us. So forest fires is something we deal with all the time around here. We're doing pretty good with it. Tom Hood, can we expect the offense to get rolling in the second half of the season, or is it going to continue with them struggling how teams are playing them? I think they're going to develop some things, and I think the run game being enhanced will change some of what the teams can do. I don't think they're going to see the 8-man coverages anymore. It's about developing the holes and how to attack the mixed coverages in the 7-man coverage package. Sending 4, that's going to be something that evolves, and I think they're going to get there. Stevie Keys, as always, one of the main contributors. I appreciate it, bud. Coming into the weekend, PFF had Patrick as the number 1 worst, most pressures charged to the quarterback with 24. He's averaging 4 a game. What does Andy do to fix this? I think to large part, they looked much better. It was less against the Bills. In fact, hold on. Let me pull it up. I can't show it to you because of the rules of access to PFF, but I can tell you in terms of the pressures that were allowed, Patrick was charged with 1 against Denver. And I think it was 1 the week before as well. So he's shortened his drops. He's communicating a little bit better with the offensive line. I think that together has really reduced that the last 2 outings. We'll see what happens against the Jets. I think Jenkins is still active and playing for them. Jenkins is a good pass rusher, so pay attention to him. And I think it's on the mend is what I'm saying. We'll see where it goes from here on an average, but I think Patrick's got some of that under control. Thank you again, Stevie. Scott Mesa, had to put my dog down today, man. I'm sorry. That's never a good day. Yeah, I've got 2 pups right now because we had to do the same thing last year. So it is what it is. Need to talk Chiefs and get better spirits. Thanks, buddy. I appreciate it. Pick yourself up. I hope you'll do better. Everybody loses their friends, especially the 4-legged ones, and it has an impact. But keep on trucking. Lean on everybody else. Chris Smith, any news on Snead? No, not yet. We'll only know when it gets closer to him returning. What do you think? I'm sorry, Cole. What do you think of the difference between the coaching the last 2 games? Clearly, there's something. Yeah, they definitely, I think, have allowed themselves to work within the framework of what the defense is giving them. I think they understand they're not going to be able to continue to push it when everybody's backed off so far. So good for them. Adapt. Crush them up tight. You know, if you gain, instead of getting 30 and 40-yard chunks, if you're getting 12 and 18-yard chunks, that's still first downs. That's still moving the ball. I will take that every time. So good for them for adapting. Keep it up, Andy. MJ, what are your thoughts on the guy who put the Super Bowl ring up for auction? He was a practice squatter that never really participated. I think he got cut early. You know, for him, that's an average salary. That's 3-year salary for us average folks. So, hey, if he gets at auction what it's worth, good for him. I don't think it's a disparaging mark on the Chiefs at all. Charlie, is there any offensive line we can poach from awful teams? Possibly, but man, they are in such high demand across the league. I don't think you're going to find much. Yevgeny, how do you think that Dirty Dan laid someone on the donkeys? I was pretty happy with it. I gave him my game ball on the podcast yesterday. If you guys haven't followed the Locked On Chiefs podcast, jump in there because we talk a lot. And I did break down. Dan did a good job. And a lot of it is exactly what you're talking about. He brought the intensity. I thought he was a lot of the spark and the fire in that defense. It wasn't just the interception. That was a good play. But he did a really good job in bringing the intensity and being that energy giver guy. And good for him. They needed it. Dave Perez, do you think Andy will hook Bell up with the revenge game? He might. Andy's not usually super big on that, but he might. When is Snead expected back? We have no idea, Joshua. Thoughts on Mahomes and his QBR? I don't pay attention to QBR, man. I pay attention to mistakes. I want completion percentage. I want balls that aren't thrown into coverage that could be picked off. And that's always a tough one with Mahomes because what I think is an ill-advised pass, he could not care less about my thoughts. So that's always something to keep in mind. Thomas, thank you very much. Appreciate the support. Please, hopefully I'll find a question from you down here so that I can help you out with something. I appreciate it, though, and thank you very much. Oregon Chief Chris, some of the free rushers due to missed calls by Kilgore and Pat versus blown blocks. I didn't see guys getting beat physically, and I'm not going to put it on Kilgore. Kilgore, I mean, he's head down. He can see out to the 3 techs. But when you had those, especially the wide linebackers that were lined up either behind the defensive ends or outside of them, there's no way Kilgore can really see that very well. That's up to Patrick. And it's a decision point. Fangio did a good job of lining them up where there was an overload on one side that was opposite Chubb. So you have to pick your poison. Do you block Chubb and let a guy come free who's maybe not as good a player, but free from the other side? Or do you block up the guys that are closest to Mahomes and look to get the ball out fast. And that's what they did. They followed their engagement rules. It just didn't work out as well. And I personally, on a team like that, I would prefer to block Chubb. Your thoughts on the Rockies thus far? I have none, Josh. I'm a football guy. I don't follow baseball. What would David Njoku cost? Like I said, I think he's worth no more than a fourth. My guess is the Browns would push for a third, but I think you can get him for a day 3 pick. Let's see. Pringle getting more reps on the offense. I hope so. I talked about that on Locked On Chiefs today. I can't tell you, but I hope so. I think he earned it. Could Pringle step into the Hardman role? Not the Hardman role, into Sammy's role right now until Sammy returns. He doesn't have the speed to really exploit the seams from the slot itself. He could be a second slot, but I'd much rather see him take reps from DeMarcus than McCole. Let's see. Did Taco have any playing time? No. Taco's hurt. He's going to be out for a while, probably at least another week. I think he'll be back after the bye. Jimmy's may come from way out there, but what about coaxing Antonio Gates out of retirement? I don't think so. I don't think he gives you enough, to tell you the truth. And I don't think he'd come here to tell you. I don't think he'd play for anybody but the Chargers. He's a pretty dedicated guy. Johnny, is Mahomes regressing or getting stuck? It feels like defenses have gotten used to him and they see us beating the Raiders for revenge. They will definitely beat the Raiders next time. I will all but guarantee it. I'll have to see what the injury report is before I go that far when it is Raiders week again, but I predict a win against the Raiders next time. And quite frankly, it's the defenses that are limiting what he can do downfield. So he's biding his time. He's letting the run game go. He's letting the short passing game go. And when it's time and it's there, he'll take advantage of it again. You don't need to butt your head up against the wall because you're an excellent passer. You don't need to force things like Brett Favre. That's when Brett got into that point when he was throwing interceptions left and right because he was a gunslinger and he wanted to keep doing it despite the fact that they were adapting to him. Credit to Patrick and getting with Reed and not pushing the subject. Alex, don't you think the Chiefs pull off any more trades or free agent pickups? Who would you go after to improve the team? I like Njoku. I could get on with Evan Ingram too. He's a heck of an athlete, and that is something that I prioritize. But I don't see a whole lot else out there. The big things like pass rushers and good offensive linemen, man, they don't grow on trees. It's almost impossible to squeeze them away from somebody. Tooney got hurt this week for the Patriots. If they feel like they need to part ways with some of that, if their season's going down the tubes, man, I would look at him pretty hard, but that's just me. What will it take for the Chiefs offense to break out? Tom, honestly, it'll be somebody brazen and just playing regular defense on them, playing cover 2s, playing cover 1s. Somebody who thinks they can play man well enough, like the Ravens did, to think that they can do it, and then they'll be taught a lesson. Do you think Andy should have pulled Patrick out earlier and kept him from being hit as much? I do, Justin. That's a very good point. I was really happy to see Henny come in that particular game, and that goes back to the blocking thing. I don't want Patrick to get hit, period. So I really don't care how it happens. If you save him hits when you don't need to, that's perfectly fine with me. Zane, your thoughts on AB to the Bucks, and does it make their offense better than ours? Predict Chiefs Bucks. I predict Chiefs Bucks Super Bowl. That could possibly happen. Tom Brady had a good game. I'm not sold that he's, markedly better than he has been the last couple of years in terms of arm strength. I think AB stretches the field pretty good when he's available. I don't know that really changes anything when you have Godwin on the field. So I'm not sure that it does, but it does give them 3 very good receivers plus a tight end that looks like he's rounding back into shape. And I think that will help. I'm not ready to call the Bucs a Super Bowl favorite, though. You got to go through Green Bay, and I think the Saints are going to put up a fight. I think there's other teams in the way. Hot and spicy. Is it time for Nick Keiser to be on the inactive list? Dan thinks so. I think he should be the 3rd tight end. I want to see Yelder get some more reps because I like Yelder, and I think he has upside. If they acquire somebody, that would obviously change the whole scenario. And we just don't know what is going on with Ricky Seals-Jones. I just don't get it. So until we know more about that situation, I won't be able to tell you any different. Adam, why was Chubb able to come off the edge untouched, and what was missed, assignment or poor scheme? It was a choice. They were rushing 6 against 5, and they had Bell in particular. They had Bell once, they had CEH once that were going out in patterns. I think they should have changed the play call to keep those guys in. So that was a choice. It was a choice to then defend what was an overload on the other side, especially that first one from Chubb. It was a choice by Patrick to emphasize the slide to the other side and take care of where there were more bodies than there were blockers, rather than moving standardly to one-on-ones with Chubb, even though he's the better pass rusher. So that was a calculated risk that they took, and they made the choice to do that. I would rather have seen them check out of that play and get away from it, to tell you the truth. I want as few hits as possible on Patrick. Thomas, thank you as always. Great to have you back. What's going on with the run defense? I think the defensive linemen are playing better. I thought the tackles played pretty good. Sean Wharton played good. You got Colin Saunders back a little bit, and Nadi's been getting better every week. I think what it is the front side linebacker play, where it's attack downhill and take on either a lead block or a pulling guard. I think the front side backers were doing pretty good from what I saw live. It was the pursuit. It was the Mike and the Will getting tied up in blocks and not getting out of them, either by running them over or running around them. And quite frankly, I prefer to power through them, knock somebody on their butt and play through them, rather than Anthony Hitchens gets caught out of position quite a bit because he runs around blocks. So that's what I think it is. And I think it's just got to be more aggressive. And sometimes they caught the Chiefs a couple of times where, it was 6-man run block versus, a nickel 6-man, but any lineman on Hitchens is a mismatch. He can't defeat the blocks once they get to him. So that seems to be the issue. They got to check out of that and get more creative, I think. I think Spags is better in general when he's being aggressive. Is Mahomes killing me in fantasy? I won't say that, but he's not living up to his, reputation. He is the cornerstone of my dynasty team. I will tell you that. He and Tyreek. So take that for what you will. Thanks, Aaron. That just made me feel so much better. All right, Scott Meza, is Ward shaking off the rust from his injury? I think so. He looked better yesterday, but they didn't really test him either, so I can't say that for sure. Row the boat, how are you? Run D was bad again this week. Any initial thoughts on what the main problem is? It's just run assignments. It's the linebackers not filling strongly enough or quickly enough. Like I said, I didn't like the backside. I think every now and then the defensive linemen get beaten, but not very often. I didn't see that live. I'll take a look at it in the film room when I see the all-22, but that's my initial thought. And there were sometimes, like I said, that they were just lighting the box. They were either in the nickel or they had Neiman and Sorensen out there, and they ran on them because you can. That said, Phil Lindsay's a really good back, and he's really spry, and he's really quick to cut. And so he's a tough tackle to begin with, let alone if you're half a step late because you let a blocker get to you. So I think that's part of the problem. Johnny, do you see the Chiefs restructuring Clark's salary? Can we even say he is better than Clowney or Njoko? Ngakwe, sorry, not Njoko. Sorry, I got David on the brain, I guess. Who played for $15 million or less. What's Clark's trade value? He doesn't have much trade value. That salary is locked in. I think they will restructure him. I think he's open to that, and I think that helps them in general. I can't say anything really negative about Frank, except maybe he has bad luck. He doesn't look like he's 100% to me, and I don't think he'll tell you if he was. He definitely wasn't 100% last year until the end. That said, if you get postseason Frank Clark back, I mean, honestly, Frank was good from week 11 on. If you get him in week 14 on, like he was at the end of last year, it's fine. It's worth the $20 million, and I don't care, because that's the games you have to have him in. You develop other guys to play in the weeks before that. You have to have your playmakers make plays in the playoffs and the run to the playoffs, and I have confidence Frank will be doing that. Mr. Daughtry, how are you? Is Kelsey still on pace for 1,000 yards? I do believe so. I'd have to check the math, but I am pretty certain. Why won't they try Pringle on punt returns, seeing how Hardman is 90% of the time calling for the fair catch? It's a good question, and I think his return here this week might get him a little more look there. I don't know. But it's not because of Hardman calling for the fair catch. He needs to. He needs to do what's appropriate for the kick and the coverage. And I think a lot of the time the punt unit has had to call those fair catches for a reason. So I wouldn't blame McCole for that. That's being smart and not pushing your luck. Scott, some of the critics in KC have said that Veach should have drafted DK over McCole. Your thoughts? Very clearly, DK is a great athlete. He was super fast. He's super big. He doesn't change direction well. He still doesn't. He doesn't run a complete route tree. Now, that said, neither does McCole. But McCole has the physical abilities to learn to do that. And I don't think DK does. DK is a straight line, go, post, maybe corners, and certainly slants. I think he can do those things well. Asking him to run digs, asking him to run deep overs, the deeper overs might work, but the in-breaking routes, things where he has to cut on a dime and shake people loose with change of direction, he doesn't do that. He can't do that. And that is a lot of what happens in the West Coast offense and with Andy in particular. So while he's just as good as McCole, I mean, honestly, he's had more success than McCole overall. I think it's right about here, but I would say DK's got a little bit of a lead now. What you saw last night, he didn't do much because they protected over the top of him. And if you do that, he can't really hurt you because he can't do the underneath work that fits this offense. So as much as he's right there in total output, if he were in the Reed offense, he would not be. So I have no problem with McCole. I think they took a guy. I think they overdrafted McCole, to be honest. But I don't think it was because of DK. And I think that McCole fits this offense a lot better. So that's where I'm at. Let's see. Adam. Yes. Thank you, Adam. I never say that enough. Put the question marks before, please. It helps me scroll, and I must be way behind because I lost my position. So, Adam, if there were any super chats that I may have missed, please let me know. I am going to check one other place that should be tracking them for me, but I can never tell if it really is. So, Gary, give us your opinion on K-Pass doing this year. I think he's not regressed, but I haven't seen him take a step forward either. I think he's holding steady, and I want to see a little bit more from him. That is my personal opinion. I think the coaching staff is pretty happy with him. So I'm not going to say anything negative against him, to tell you the truth. Let's see. Make sure, again, Aaron, if you would ping me if I missed any of the super chats. What position do you target in the draft in round one? I'm still of the mind that you need another top corner. Linebacker is certainly up there, though. And at this point, with the back injury, I think I told you guys during the last draft, tackle need is coming up. They drafted Niang to be the swing tackle, and he opted out, and nothing against him. Good for him. But that's a year behind on his development. So you might need another tackle too. So offensive tackle, linebacker, CB is probably still at the top of my list because you don't have anyone under contract right now except Fenton and Sneed, and you have to have three. Maybe they bring Breezy back. I don't know. And I certainly think that Sneed has the potential to be a number one. But with the injury especially, I don't think he's going to be there yet. So I'd want another prime time, take half the field away kind of corner. Kyle, since the season, do you think that Baltimore's the biggest threat, or is it Pittsburgh or Tennessee? I think the Ravens have slowed down a bit. I think Pittsburgh's playing really good right now, and I think the Titans are very close to that. So they're all formidable. But matchup-wise, I think it's the Steelers that hurt the Chiefs the most. What about Turk? He was a great surprise. Dude's a freakish athlete. Yes, he is, and he's doing a little bit of everything, Brian. I really appreciate his efforts. Is Osemele done blowing both knees at once? It wasn't ligaments. It was tendons, but I have a tendency to think that I don't think he'll play again this year. I could be wrong, but it is what it is. Brett Burns, I appreciate you trying. So don't even worry about it, man. Thomas, is it possible that playing both the young D tackles together, both Ward and Saunders, come along with Chris Jones? Could be. I think they have to have a comfort level of that to a certain degree to be able to take that chance, but I think they will. Michael Green, will we have Snead back in time for the Tampa game? No, I don't think so. I could be wrong. I'd love to be wrong, but I don't think so. Thoughts on Wharton? The guy could be a speeding ticket in a school zone. You're absolutely right. Oh, wait, there was a second question from Michael, too. Hold on. If so, what corners match up with what receivers? It's going to be Fenton, Breeland, Ward. And I think it's going to be Breeland that's going to try. They don't like moving Ward. Ward doesn't travel very well. They want to leave him be. Everyone was kind of moving around until Ward had to be the starter again. So with Snead and Breezy and Fenton, you can move those guys around. That's not the same case with Ward. They don't seem to like to do it. So if they can, then I would put Bashad Breeland on Mike Evans. I think he's the strongest. I think he has the best chance of staying with him and going up for verticals with him. But if not, it's going to be a left and right. Let's see. Ryan, how old are you? I don't mind saying Raymond. I'm 45. So, hey, I'm well ahead of Dan. That's all I know. Let's see here. Yeah, that means I was a 90s kid. And when I was at KU, the football team was coming off of a bowl win. So put it that way. Ian, no worries, buddy. Hope you're doing well. I'm sorry about the issues. Do you think this is our biggest threat to the playoffs? Baltimore, Pittsburgh, Tennessee. I think I would flip those. Pittsburgh, Baltimore, Tennessee is the order that I would go in. And don't even worry about it, man. I appreciate all the support you've given me over the years. Not even a problem. How much inconsistency on defensive holding calls hurt us? Some, but it's also holding as a DB is an art. Let me put it that way. You got to conceal it, and that comes down. You know what I mean? Natalie, I see that you're here. Scott Meza. I hope that this is helping. I just want to say that. And Natalie, I'm glad you made it. Adam, are we better than last year for penalties against? I'd have to look at the numbers. I want to say it's right about even, Adam. I'm not 100% though. Let me take a look at that. James, should we draft a wide receiver in OT with our first two picks? I don't think they need another wide receiver. I got to tell you. At least not with a first round pick. I don't. I mean, if you got a chance to get Jamar Chase, I mean, I guess you have to, right? But I don't think that's going to happen. Let's see. Chris. Good Lord, you guys, I'm falling behind here. Kemp tried Kemp did, and he almost did it too. My thoughts on tight end play, I think it needs help. I think if Travis were to need a week or two off, I think they're in trouble at the tight end position as a whole. Can you imagine if we drafted Honey Badger in 13 and paired him with Eric Berry? Yeah, that would have been great. Although I was not down with Tyron back then. He was a loose cannon, and I didn't think, honestly, he was going to buckle down and make it. He was pretty troubled about making sure that he was going to carry through and become the player he has. I'm proud of him, and I'm glad he's here now. Have you watched the tape on Nick Bolton out of Mizzou? No, I don't usually watch college film until after the regular season when things slow down. I start watching bowl games first, and then I backtrack. That's how I do film, because trying to maintain everything on the NFL side and do that is just, there's not enough hours in the day. So I wait until that. There are other guys who can just burn film all day. I ain't one of them. Is Belichick broke? Do you see him in a lot of commercials? Yeah, that's a really interesting point. I noticed that and said something to the wife the other day. Like, I don't remember seeing him in commercials before, so it's a little bit weird. Alex, I like Mahomes not having to do a whole lot in some games. People are saying that Mahomes struggled. I say he didn't need to put the team on his back. And Alex, I 100% agree with you. It's okay for Patrick to have a day where he doesn't have to be the man. That's honestly why I titled this video what I did. He doesn't have to be the man every single game. So I'm good with that. Let's see. Do you see Steelers as a threat? Yes, I definitely do. Do you think Brian Pringle will still have a role when Sammy comes back? Well, he isn't getting much offensive snaps, at least definitely not targets. So we'll have to see how that goes. I hope that he takes share away from Robinson, not from McColl, because I think Hardman still has a ways to get better. Samuel Thornhill looked great against the run last night. How can he be coming downhill if he gets healthy? I think he's getting more comfortable with where he is physically, and I think you saw that. Those open field tackles are priceless when you can make those consistently. Spicy, what position did you play when you played football? I know this is going to shock you guys. In high school, I played on the offensive line, and I was a rush end outside. In college, I went to linebacker and fullback. Does that surprise anyone? I'll bet not. Score predictions for Chiefs Jets. Chiefs 7,800 and Jets 2. No, I don't know, Tom. I got to look at the matchups, but I think it's going to be at least a 3-score game. How scared are you of the Bucks now that they've got AB? I'm not scared of them, period. AB is another thing to contend with. That's true, but it doesn't scare me. Tom Brady is not mobile. All you got to do is pressure him. How much of the O-line missed calls were on Pat and Kilgore, or how much were just bad execution? I think most of it wasn't even bad calls. It was a choice. It was deciding how you were going to block it, and it didn't work out that well. Honestly, if Bell gets his head around, that's a completion at the very least, maybe a long gain. Others, it was just about picking your poison, and they made their decision. The only thing that I don't like is that it allowed Patrick to get hit. I don't want to see that. How do you feel about our offense going 0-8 on third down? Not good. And it's a testament to the rest of the team that it didn't matter. But no, that's not a positive sign. There are concerns, and Andy Reid talked about it today that, yeah, they got some things to figure out. Yes, it was terrible conditions, but you got to be better than that. Will Sammy be back in time to play Tampa? I don't think so. They haven't said, but I don't think so, Scott. Does Chiefs best the Steelers in the playoffs, in your opinion? In the playoffs, Gary? Absolutely. Let's see. David Chapman, when do you think Schwartz will return? I think they'll leave him out this week, and they'll let him take the bye week, and maybe after that. A back is a really, really difficult thing to see, especially with a 300-pound dude. So I think we just got to play it by ear, but I'm hoping it's right after the bye. Do you think that Willie Gay is starting to get it together? Yes, I do. He's definitely on the upswing, and I think he's going to get more opportunities. If the price is a 4th round, do you trade for Eifert? Eifert's hurt a lot. I don't think so. I don't think I would do that, no. I might give up a 6th or a 7th for him, but that's about it. Jimmy's. Yes, we struggle against run, more specifically the cutbacks. Why do you think they fail to improve in this crucial area? Some of it is discipline. You're right, Jimmy's. In fact, I can remember one play that Willie just completely overran his assignment, and he wasn't there when it got cut back on him. That's experience. That's understanding that the jump from college to the NFL, everybody got better. He's a heck of an athlete. He's better than Isaiah Simmons in terms of the way you measure athleticism. But you got to be in the right place, and you got to know where you're going. And when you over pursue, it puts you in a bad spot. He'll get there. He's improving. Do you see a 3-header monster in the backfield with Bell, Williams, and short yardage with Clyde in the red zone? I do. I just hope, they wanted to get Bell going, and they didn't run a ton. So Darrell didn't get many snaps this week, and I hope that goes back to normal. I think it should be like a 50, 30, 20 kind of thing in my best estimation. Do you think that Veach is shopping for another kicker? I do not. I don't think they care about extra points in terms of anything that would make them lose confidence in Butker. He hits the huge plays, which are the ones that are really going to count, but it's an annoyance. You know what I mean? They want to get it figured out, but I don't think that it's anything that makes them want to go look for another kicker. Excuse me. Tight end Luke Wilson, CB Josh Jackson, both look like great players to go after. Your thoughts? Luke Wilson? Really? I don't know. Jackson, maybe. I don't know. Judging by this coaching staff and the way they feel about their plays, I don't think either of those guys really make a dent, to tell you the truth. Big test. Who gets their next 100 rush game? It'll be Clyde. Well, maybe not. In general, it'd be Clyde if they weren't playing the Jets. The fact that they're playing the Jets, they might just hand it to Bell and let him go, in which case I do think he will. For a guy who had one or zero 16-yard plus runs in his whole time as a Jet, had 2 in 6 carries, that tells you something. I'm sure he has a point to make with them. redneck conversations. I thought it was conversions. Sorry. It seems like Pringle's number is called. He answers the call, whether on special teams or as a wide receiver. Why do you think they're not being used more often? I honestly can't tell you. I think it's probably a comfort level, and because they've seen Demarcus Robinson do it more. It's just like breaking through the fact that he's got good receivers in front of him. But I believe it should be Hill, Watkins, Hardman, Pringle. That's the way I feel about it. Is Lindsey rushes to the right side because no one seemed to be setting a good edge, at least until Dan blew him up. Yeah, and part of that was Damon Harris was in there for some. Tano got taken inside a couple times. He got taken inside by Drew Lock. If Tano maintains his leverage, Drew Lock doesn't run in that first touchdown, and that's a whooping even worse. So, yeah, I'm with you. Do you believe that Snead will be back after the bye week? I hope so, but I really, really don't know. What are your thoughts on Willie Gay so far? I think he's improving. I think he's the athlete that I expected him to be. And I hope that he can settle down on his reads and not get overkeyed. He looks a little hyped up to me. Sometimes his feet chatter a little bit more than they should. And he looks to over pursue some. So I think that's going to settle down with experience. Remember, he didn't play a whole ton, especially last season, maybe the season and a half at college. So he's got a long ways to go. Okay. Aaron can't find who asked this. What do you think of the rookies so far? Okay. I answered Rockies before. I thought you were talking about baseball. Aaron, thank you for that. And if I missed a super chat, please let me know, as I'm trying to get caught up as furiously as I can. I think the rookie class is doing well. One of the things that I do on the behind the numbers, if you guys haven't seen that, the by the numbers video will be out Tuesday evening. I'm tracking how much contribution the rookies give, how many snaps they play each week, because I think it is really important. And I think it's not just about performance, but it's about getting those snaps, because that experience is what helps you get better. And so that's one of the main reasons that I track it. And I'm very happy with their performance so far and how much they're playing. I want Snead back, obviously. He was really a guy that I rooted for. But Bo Peep Keith's played 8 snaps on defense this week. He's one of the guys that I'm going to take a look at and see if there's anything there to see. I don't think he was targeted, so I don't know if I'm going to find anything to tell you about him, but I will definitely look. Let's see. How is it, Pono? How are you, buddy? Depending on how Le'Veon progresses, do you think Brett gives Le'Veon a contract extension when the season ends? An extension, no. It's just a one-year deal, so I think they'll let it lapse, and I don't think Le'Veon would sound an extension anyway. He'll want his people to renegotiate something new, and that's fine. As long as it's reasonable, I can see it. If not, more power to you. You got right, and hopefully he's walking away with a Super Bowl ring, another for the Chiefs. Scott Mesa, is Wilson playing a lot better than Hitchens? I can't say that. He's playing stronger at the point. I can't say his pursuit is that much better. And quite frankly, he's less consistent. They were really up against the Bills, and I liked what they brought. I thought they both played well. I didn't see that, and I'm not sure if it's the footing or the opponent or what it was against the Broncos, but I want to see it come back. That's really all I can say. Mr. Chapman, any DTs they should pursue? No one comes to mind that's really out there. Queenan Williams is supposedly available from the Jets. Big, huge investment as a first rounder. Big, huge guy. He would definitely make them consider benching Derek Nottie. And I think the cost, not only this year, but as he gets closer to an extension, is not something they want to look at. So I have trouble seeing them invest in something like that, somebody that high caliber. And I don't know of many others that are out there. I'd love to see them get that Coward kid from New England, but I don't think he's going to be available. I think he's a developmental guy that I really liked coming out, and I hope that he continues on his arc. Do we stay with the Colonel line, or who sits when Schwartz returns? Good question, Pono. My opinion is that Remmers goes to left guard, Allegretti sits, Kilgore stays, and Schwartz goes back to right tackle. That's my preference, because I think that plays in, again, to the passing game a little bit more. But I also feel like Allegretti's earned his reps, and so there's no reason to rush Mitch back. There is a possibility, too, that because Remmers is an older guy, he may be playing a lot of snaps right now that maybe he needs to rest. So maybe Allegretti stays and Kilgore stays and Mitch comes back. And Remmers goes back to being your first guy off the bench and allows the older guy to get some rest and freshen his legs. And I'm super good with that too. So whatever the direction is that Andy Heck and Andy Reid decide to go, I'm good with. Let's see. Lucas, how are you? Should we target another linebacker in this draft? I think so, but I can't tell you who, and I can't tell you that the linebacker class is anything that they need to target early. I will definitely have to take a look. There's a couple of guys on my list so far. I do keep a watch list as the college season goes on, and honestly, from other people who have watched film, like Dan's already watched the 2019 film for teams that aren't playing yet, or may not, may play in the spring, may not, who knows. So I do have my watch list, but I'm not ready to say that the class as a whole is something I'm ready to really go after yet. Let's see. Doctor Who, how are you? Score of the Jets game. I think the Chiefs will be in the 30s again. I'm going to probably get into like 35-17-ish kind of area. But I won't know that until I look at the matchups, and I'll do that for the game plan here on RGR and the game preview episode on Locked On Chiefs. They're both on Friday, and I'll have my prediction then. Steve, what do you think about moving Wharton to end? He has a motor. I agree, and I think that he can make some hay out there. It's just that right now I see him winning on effort and mostly power. I don't see him dipping, and I need to see that before I'm really comfortable with him playing out at the edge. It's one thing for Chris Jones, who doesn't have a whole lot of dip either, but Chris gets it done because his hands are so fast and they're very powerful. Wharton's pretty good there too. Excuse me. But until I see it, I can't say that I'm ready to put him out there full time, but it's definitely an option, and I have considered that myself. Let's see here. Rock on. I think we're making progress, Aaron. Trying to find where I was. Oh, maybe I lied. Man, there's a whole lot more questions. All right, folks, we're like 10 minutes out. I'm going to try to power through these. And now I can't even find where I'm at, so I must be way, way behind. All right, I see one more super chat. I'm going to make sure to address that. And I want to make sure that I don't miss anybody. So, Thomas, do you advise people purchase the All-22 package to understand the different sets? I encourage everybody to take a look at it. It's not uber expensive. I mean, I know it's $100, so it's not nothing. But I think if you want to learn the game, if you want to see what's going on, I think it's worth having. It's certainly a tool for analysts like me and Dan that's indispensable. It shows you a side of the game that you can't get anywhere else. Scott, he might. Okay. I'm really happy, Nicholas, with where Gay's at. Do you think that Niang opts out had anything to do with his injury not being 100%? That's a very good question, Adam. And it is something that I thought at the time, like maybe he's just not healthy enough to go. But whether it was or wasn't, I think the year off will definitely help him in the long run. My thoughts on OBJ getting hurt, and do you think that they should go after him? No and no. I don't want OBJ near this roster. I think what is most deserving is that Raiders get Antonio Brown back and OBJ, and they can just implode. I think that'd be great. Scott Mays says, Tedrick Thompson play more next week? He might, but I think they're settling into their three-man rotation. Everybody looks like they're doing their job. I like Tedrick, and I think he's done a couple of good things. He made some mistakes as well, but I like where he's going, and I like having him as the fourth. And by the way, if you check out his brother who played for a number of years, he's got a very cool YouTube channel, Cedric. Do you think the Chiefs made a trade offer to the deadline? If you're the GM, name one player that you'd realistically go after. Good question, Steven. I would try to see, excuse me, if Njoku's trade demand is real, I would consider that. I would see if there are DBs available, to tell you the truth. There are teams out there that are failing. There could be some like, and here's another one now that I think of it. I would call Atlanta. Can we get Deion Jones, please? Because if you put Deion Jones and Willie Gay together, they will be the best nickel linebacker crew in the league in 2 years. I guarantee it. We don't know, Dwayne. I don't know when he'll be back. Sausage for tight end too. Yes, he can definitely do that. Phil Baggins. I see where number 26 will be able to get his number back if he returns next year. Yes, I'm sure he will. Or he'll get a nice chunk of change for it. That's the way the league works. Are you sick of Breeland drawing penalties? Nah, I'm okay with it. I'd rather him rough up the receivers and get penalized every now and then than let him run by, to tell you the truth. Gay should be in there full time. I'm with you, Ryan. I would start him in the nickel even. I know he's playing mostly in the base, but I would start him in the nickel. Get his feet wet now. Will Dirty Dan be back? Gary, that's a good question. His contract is up, if I remember correctly. But if he continues to make plays, they'll bring him back on a 1 or 2 year, I'll bet you. What's Pringle's splash play? Return prospect for Hardman? No, I think it's about competing with DeMarcus and Pringle. I don't think Hardman's in the mix there. What type of injury did Schwartz have? It's his back, and it was pretty nondescript. I don't have anything specific for him. Jeremy, I answered your Eifert question. Maybe I'm getting caught up now. Let's see. Do the Chiefs need to get the ball to Tyreek more? Let him have busted games wide open? I think right now is that they're not really, they're trying to play their game. They're not specifically scheming for Tyreek. When they need to, they will. But these games, they don't feel they need to. And unless they go on a losing streak, they're not going to until the playoffs, I don't think. Yep. Again, Keaton, it's about Lindsey being that good, to tell you the truth. How would Claypool fit in Casey's offense? That's a very good question, Kansas Carolina. And you guys know how huge I was on Chase Claypool pre-draft. I would run him in 2 tight end sets with Travis and let Travis be the inline guy and let Chase be the detached guy. You can also run him at wide receiver just like he is right now, which means he probably takes the place of Sammy Watkins. But alas, no one listened to me, and he's a Steeler. It's sad. Do you see that CEH being a possible rookie of the year candidate? Yeah, for sure. I mean, he's number 2 in the league in rushing, right? I think he still is. I'd have to check the stats today, but yeah, for sure. Do you see the Chiefs winning out and going 15-1? I don't. I see that hard to achieve. They have Tampa. They have the Raiders again. You never know. If they let their guard down, anybody can beat them any week. I had them as 14-2 preseason, and I still feel like that's probably the way that it ends up. Aaron, were you able to see any film on Alex Smith when he was a couple of weeks ago? He looked good. He planted off that foot. He drove off that foot when he delivered the ball. I did notice he was being smart, and he was picking his feet up when he was in contact so that he had less of a chance of getting rolled again. So more power to him. That guy's an inspiration, and I love seeing it. Zachary, over on this website, Arrowhead Live. I don't know that one. They say Ben Neiman is a secret weapon. I'm not sure who says that, so I'm not going to run anybody down. We'll get back to that some other time. Could Wharton's play make him a leap from Saunders over the depth chart? That's a good question. I mean, I think they're definitely, in terms of pass rush, they're the backups. Pennell comes out for that. Pennell's in there against the run. Possibly. I mean, but Saunders is doing good things too. So, I think that 5-man rotation is really good right now. Spicy, do you think that Lucas Niang has a Pro Bowl potential? No. I can't even tell you that. I haven't seen him as a professional at all. I thought he was solid in college. I didn't think he was all world. But you never know. If he's rehabilitated fully and he is continuing to develop strength and honestly, if he dropped a little bit of weight and got his feet a little bit quicker, I think he could be, Pro Bowl. Sure. You never know. But from what I've seen to this point, I can't even say that. When do you think Mahomes will retire? I'm thinking 2038. Is that too long? I don't know. I mean, what is he? He's 24. It's 2020. Tom Brady is 44, right? So that would put it at 2040. Patrick Mahomes could play till then. I mean, seriously. That was kind of off the top of my head. I was joking, but actually now that I think about it, it could be that far. Oh, Jimmy's. Please explain to my wife the difference between putting the ball away and chicken wing like Kaiser did. It's points of contact. It's surface area. We'll get into that. Yeah. I don't want to run the guy down. I think I overdid it a little bit last night, and I don't mean to do that. I think he is a kid that is developing, and I think his heart is in it. Okay, David Fogel, thank you for your super chat. I very much appreciate it. Do you think that Wharton, his time gets reduced now that Saunders is coming back? Possibly a little bit, but I don't think it's going to be gross. I think honestly, I think Derek's will come off a little bit. I think Wharton's might come off a little bit, or they may actually platoon more where it's Derek and Mike Pennell early, and then they come out because Wharton and Saunders are more of the pass rush threats of the four of those guys. So I could see them rotating a lot faster and reducing everybody's snaps a little bit. But I see that as a good thing, not a bad one. Aaron, thank you for checking that. I appreciate it. I was panicked there that I had missed something. And folks, eventually when my internet gets upgraded, I will be able to do on a better system than this that allows me to track this a lot better. And for those of you that notice, I have dumbed down my resolution. Hopefully it makes things cleaner and it looks better overall, even though it's not as high res. So I appreciate the patience with me. Adam, is Adam Gase worried about next Sunday? I think Adam Gase is, he's resigned to his fate. That's all I could think, unless his head is just completely buried in the sand. Time to give Jerry Jones a call. Yeah, hey, you never know. Don't take one of their linebackers, though. They can't stay healthy. What do you think about the team is doing overall? Chad, I think they're on their way. They're hunting and packing. They got to find their things, and they got to fix their gaps. But every team has gaps. It's about how you adapt to them. Jason, is Turk athletic enough to play LB in obvious run situations? That might be a stretch. He's right on the edge, in my opinion. Now, being that he was a UDFA that came from a place that I never got to do film on, I can't tell you if he's ever done it. If he had, that would probably lean me more towards, okay, maybe. Breland Speaks played off the ball a few times in college, and he looked okay doing it. The NFL is a whole different animal, though, and I really like the way Turk comes off the ball with his hand in the dirt. So I lean towards no, I wouldn't want to do that. Is it time to draft a true tight end replacement for Kelsey? It's getting there, yeah. And quite frankly, that's what I saw in Claypool. That's what I wanted him for, is to be the heir apparent. Now, that said, Travis is a pretty spry guy. He doesn't just act young. He still moves young. You know what I mean? But yeah, I mean, he's 30. It's the magic marker right there, and it can't hurt to have talent behind him to allow him to rest sometimes. I'm totally with you, Ian. I feel like Kelsey is older, and the sooner you get one, the speed, the better. Okay, fair enough. Yeah. Stevie, what happened to Snacks Harrison that he is settling for the Seahawks practice squad? I have no idea. I think he's just near the end of his career, age-wise and everything else. I'm going to start calling Derek Naughty Snacks, I think. Ian, yeah, okay. Same question. Sorry, it took me so long to get to you. Apologies. Let's see. Brian, really like the content. Thank you. I appreciate that. In my opinion, you guys have the best Chiefs content, and I look forward to each video. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. And so do the guys. And it's great. We have some other things cooking too. So keep it here. It's not just I know the memberships people sometimes don't like because it puts things behind a little bit of a paywall. And membership is just a monthly member fee, basically. And it's going to be anything from like $5 on up, right? So it's going to be cheap if you want it to be cheap. And I don't want to alienate people or put it too far away. The big thing is this is a family channel. It's going to stay a family channel. There are a lot of kids that watch this. My kids watch this. I'm not going to change that. I'm not going to start cussing on this channel or anything. In the private member stuff, I'm going to be more frank. And in my real life, I cuss more, and I don't want that on here in public. So that's part of the big thing. But it's also going to be about, more frank discussion of not just the positives, but the things that are issues. So that's where we're going with it. Let's see. Is drafting smaller colleges working to our benefit? It is so far, and it's going to have to, MJ. Because as the contracts for the stars go up, the rest of the contracts have to come down. Aaron, thank you again. Bear asked, with all the wide receiver talent, can we trade some for O-line. That's a reasonable idea. The problem is there's so few talented offensive linemen right now that no one's going to give them up, even for wide receiver talent, because most teams feel like wide receivers are a whole lot easier to find, to tell you the truth. Okay, we're going to wind it up here, folks. I know there's one more super chat. I'm getting to you, I promise, and we'll wrap it up with the questions. Thank you all very much. Keaton, how do you buy the 22 package? It's called Game Pass at NFL.com. And if they had a coupon from Locked On that you can use. I think the code is Locked On, and I think it's like $5 or $10 off. And you view it online through a web browser. Canadian Chief, cheers. And we're on about Sammy is the key to the pass game. He is missing, and the pass game seems to be gone. He definitely helps. Teams don't feel like they have to cover the other guys as much as they do Sammy. And so that is taking away from some of it. Can DOD engage a plant Neiman in the nickel? I don't think DOD can. I think Dorian's time to become a starter or ascend to that level has come and gone. I don't think this staff is going to let him get there. Does Damian Williams get traded next season? He could, especially if they decide to keep Bell. But I really hope that they give him a chance to continue to improve. Aaron, why are they having Kaiser do anything but block? I have absolutely no idea. But hey, I'm not in charge. And we all know that. Info Apocalypse, thank you very much. Appreciate the super chat as always. Will Wharton overtake Saunders and Pennell in the depth chart? Definitely not Pennell. Pennell's going to always be the guy because he's the one guy that is run specific. He's not going anywhere on the depth chart. He'll be the third guy in situationally, just period. Yep, no worries. Somebody did ask that, but I appreciate the super chat and for sure. And I think he is pushing Saunders. He has definitely come a long way since Saunders has been hurt, and I think it's a really, really good group of DTs right now. Scott, I see Robinson being traded, Sorensen getting a one-year contract. Your thoughts? I could live with both those things. I don't know if there's any market for Robinson, and that's all I'll tell you. He didn't find much market on free agency, so I doubt there's much trade market, to tell you the truth. But if I don't get a chance to say it again, Scott, I'm sorry about your pup, and cheers. I hope that you can get past it. Keep your chin up, buddy. I appreciate that. It'll probably be several ounces of something like this. Cheers. Jason, thank you. I appreciate that very much. There's plenty of opinion out there. Mine's just mine. These are my words. There are many like them, but these ones are mine. Max, thank you very much as well. I appreciate the support. And to all of you that have sat through an hour of this, all 300 of you, to Aaron Morrow, our fearless mod, thank you very much for all of your efforts as always. Folks, we're going to try to get Aaron a little more involved in the future too. We've talked about a couple of things. There will be more voices on this channel eventually. I think you're going to dig them, and we're going to make it work in a way that the RGR staff is going to be here for you. So you don't just have to listen to me. But I hope you guys have a great night. Happy Monday. Check out the rest of Monday Night Football. That's what I'm going to do after I eat some dinner. I hope you guys have a good one, and I'll talk to you next week. We have a ton coming for you this week. I should mention that. By the numbers, 2 film reviews. We have a couple other things, something new from Danilo tomorrow, and then the game plan on Friday. So check it out. Thank you very much, and I'll talk to you next time.